Welcome back, everybody. We hope you all had a good, safe, gentle Mother's Day weekend. We know it's a really rough time for many of us, so we hope in whatever way you celebrated, didn't celebrate, we hope that you were nice and gentle to yourself.
Yeah, welcome back. It was a hard weekend for a lot of people. I saw a lot of people posting about their moms. That's always triggering. I'd say this is my 7th without my mom, who's alive, but I've been grieving for a while. And it was hard, but it's getting easier, and I've been able to do more productive things like plan it out, because I know that it's gonna be a hard day.
Yeah.
So I had some plans and it was cool. But I know that it's triggering nonetheless when it's in the air and everyone's talking about family and you're seeing everyone's incredible moms and
Right.
Was it hard for you?
It was. We just stayed busy, and I just made it about food. That's my
Yeah.
focus. I got In and Out, so I was happy with In and Out.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It made me feel like a little bit of California was here with us.
Yeah, for sure. Today we wanted to talk about just what's in the air. And there's so many channels that are covering it. If you're a Scientology watcher, which I'm so glad that's even a thing these days, but we want to just give our perspective because it looks like the closing arguments are happening today in the Danny Masterson retrial. And as children who grew up in Scientology, I think that everybody who we know is following it line by line, hanging on all of the reports, trying to get a sense of what was going on in the courtroom, and to have some of these things on the record, and hear about our policies that we were raised with that felt like a secret, like nobody was ever going to find out because of the internal
bubble.
Yeah, and the internal justice system is really being exposed. So I don't know, we just wanted to give a couple of thoughts on that today. Alicia hadn't had the chance to read the transcripts from the trial this morning yet, so I was going to read part of it from Tony Ortega's email that I don't know why, it just makes me happy to hear that. So the judge was giving instructions to the jury about deliberation. And she says, "You may consider evidence of Scientology for these limited purposes: the delay to report, to explain the witness's beliefs about reporting to outside law enforcement and to being declared a suppressive person, to explain how they acted before and after the incidents, to evaluate statements by all witnesses, to further evaluate any expert testimony. It is up to you to determine if someone is in fact an expert." And
Dang.
I mean, just hearing, volcanoes going, and it's just the law, and it's the reality of what we face as members of this group. So having that be a factor in their mindset is incredible, and I've never heard it vocalized. But
like that. I would say vocalized and on record, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Whatever happens with this case, it's setting the standard, and this is going to be probably referred back to for other cases, no matter which way it goes. We're hoping that it goes how we feel it should go. We hope that there's justice. Yeah,
and we understand the internal justice system, and that everything Claire Headley testified to, what the women said about reporting, is very accurate in our own experiences. Scientology has their own internal justice system. We didn't report other members of the organization to law enforcement without approval, basically, and assurance that we wouldn't get declared.
Yeah,
Because
in trouble.
yeah, that's not normal. And your person who's the authority is truly like the ethics officer or the MAA or whoever is calling the shots there. So there was an experience I had when I was younger. You know, it's a snitching culture, right? So all knowledge reports and things that shouldn't be reports, that's come up a lot in the trial too, which is incredible.
I like that. Yeah.
And so at some point, someone had written a knowledge report or things that shouldn't be report on me. I was at an interesting age where I was depressed. I was drinking a lot. I was smoking a lot of cigarettes and just kind of being bad, but like not really bad. But yeah, bad. Like Scientology, like they warn you so much that you're gonna like go off the rails, or like that's like a term they use, like, oh, they're so off the rails. But it kind of makes you like want to go off the rails and like
want to lose it. Yeah.
In your head, like if you leave Scientology, you're gonna be like a homeless person on the street doing drugs. And for whatever reason, I think some of us do come to that fruition because we believe it almost. But I had an interesting point in my teenage years where I was moving away from my Delphi friends who were really like into Scientology.
Indoctrinated,
Yeah, and they were really from wealthy Scientology families. So they had a lot of pressure because they needed to look good and all that. I was friends with a family who had a org board for their family. And they had, an organizational board is like Scientology's, which I found out later, it's just called an org chart in normal society. I thought it was something that Hubbard miraculously discovered. I had been moving away from the friends who were going to be tattling on me for doing anything considered not cool in Scientology. And moving towards, I still didn't want to hang out with people who were completely not Scientologists, because when you're from a cult, like you don't trust people.
Yes, I still don't trust people.
I'm still leery of strangers. Yeah, strangers are not great. But in reality, they are way nicer typically, which is still mind-blowing. But I didn't trust anybody who wasn't somewhat affiliated. Like, I don't know, that's how it is. So I started hanging out with other kids of Scientology who were kind of like on the outer edge, like who were like allowed to go to public school. So they were able to have a bit more regular experience. So Scientology definitely affected their lives in that their parents were heavily involved and they were, aware of the concepts and stuff, but not all of them were active in the organization and stuff like that. So I started hanging out with like, the bad kids or whatever. And just, they were not bad kids, but they were hilarious, truly, and introduced us to a lot of people in the area who we never would have known. And also a lot of like ranch kids and like freaking Catherine Spolito speaking out. Yeah, that's incredible. Proud of you. But we were able to meet a lot of people through that. So anyway, I got a report on me that I had been involved in drinking and hooking up with Scientologist men who were like over 18. And I was a girl. under 18.
Mhm.
But as we know, Scientology, when you're a, you know, you're an old Satan in a tiny body, right? So we were hauled in, me and a couple of friends, and when you're hauled into the ethics office.
So intense.
Yeah. And I was already like living alone at this point. So
Oh, that's right, because you were alone at 16, right?
like 16 and a half, I moved into the, and so we were brought in, and I remember being shown very specific references on promiscuity and told basically like, don't do this, you're out of it, you're going off the rails. I think that term was used. And when you're brought into Scientology ethics, it's in Hollywood at the Blue Building, it's underground, and like
That's even more intense.
I have so many like weird memories of being in those buildings underground, and like just the extreme sterileness of the environment and all the uniforms and all that is so nuts. To anyone who has those childhood memories, like, I'm with you. So we were brought in and like talked to about basically just don't do this. But the thing that bothers me as an adult is that when have a young person under 18 and you're aware of something that happened that's illegal, and I'm not mad about this at all, they're still my good friends to this day, but when you are a mandated reporter like I am now, you can't just glide by that. Like, they're in normal outside society, there are safeguards,
Consequences. Yeah.
And if a child says something like that, you need to take note. And there's a difference between a child and a woman, and it's a big difference. And like having the viewpoint that we're just many trillion-year-old Satans in tiny bodies is not protecting children. And
no, not at all.
And so the whole Scientology having their own ethics system and justice system is too real, and that's why I'm so happy that it's being exposed,
Right. And it's on the record, so anytime any other thing that comes out, if they need a reference, this is there, which is amazing, because hopefully people will start feeling more comfortable to share, to report stuff. We know it comes at such a great cost, unfortunately, but it still is, I don't want to say the right thing to do, because the right thing is different for everybody, but it still is. If it's right for you, then it's right for you to do.
It's all about timing.
And if you're prepared for everything that's going to happen when you report, if you report.
And when you're just trying to survive and not die by suicide, sometimes, and that goes for speaking out against Scientology and any kind of abuse. I think a lot of people feel pressure to stand up and be counted. And I'm at a point in my recovery where I appreciate when people stand up and be counted, because we can create more accountability, and it will become a thing of the past, hopefully. But also, if you're on the edge and you need to take a little bit of time to make sure you're okay to deal with the consequences that are going to come, like losing your family, your friends, possible stalking, possible harassment, all types of things, then take time, and that's okay. We'd rather have you here. And we're here. And if you also, we want to invite people to if they want to share their story anonymously.
Right.
You don't need to have your name in it, but if you just want us to read it because you need to get it out, feel free to email us, and we are happy to do that on your behalf. And I think it would really help educate people. So there are so many people we know who are under the radar, because they don't want to lose family members, and they can't lose their livelihoods, and
they toe the line.
They toe the line, and so we're here for it. We have an incredible guest who's going to be coming on next week, who or maybe this week, we're not sure, soon, who attended the trial actually, and is a child of Scientology, and then had such a fascinating and interesting viewpoint on everything. I'm proud to know them. So keep your eyes on our channel, because we have some really fun stuff coming up.
We do. We're gonna let our volcanoes explode a little more.
Yeah, and we we're it took me a lot of education and like time reading and re-educating to come to a viewpoint of being a feminist and being okay with being a woman. And L. Ron Hubbard has quite a few references on like the hat of a wife and women, and I do want to discuss at some point the reference that he has about society in which women or girls are taught anything but the treatment or management of the household, and the raising of children is a society that's on its way out. That one is really not okay, and it's taken a lot of re-education for me to get to a point of like understanding of the psychology of women. And so I'm going to be like bringing feminist tidbits to the table sometimes. Is it okay with you, Alicia, if I read something real quick?
Totally.
Okay,
so let the volcanoes explode, baby.
Hey, I just want everyone to feel empowered and like experience what we've been able to experience. And maybe you're not ready to go to a class on women's psychology, but if we could just take this tiny little tidbit, then it was hard for us to have to relearn anything at all. So okay, this is from the book A New Psychology of Women, Gender, Culture, and Ethnicity by Hilary M. Lips, 4th edition. And it's on page 221. It says, language as a way to stereotype, categorize, and belittle women. In English, grown women are frequently referred to as girls, a label that suggests immaturity and lack of status. Parallel labeling of men is not done so frequently or so casually. Calling a grown man a boy is usually an insult. Apparently, it's a more serious matter to trivialize men than women. So that is something that it's become one of my pet peeves, is when men and women use the term girls, because I think we're already sexualizing little girls. And so by calling women girls, it's almost confusing. So I want to use the proper terminology if we can. Women, girls, because you and I are former quote members, we understand how influential words are and language is, right? Because we can talk to a former Scientologist, paint an entire picture using fake words, right?
That are not real in the real world.
Yeah,
they're not real to other people.
Like I went down to Flag and I sat in the HGC, and then I had met the my NOTS auditor and they ran a grade this on me, and then my needle floated, and then there's a whole
what floated? Your what?
Yeah. And it literally creates how you think about things. And so it's just trippy to me that that's not a cult word. It's just a normal word that has persisted to create interesting. And since we're talking about a rape trial today, and you and I are glued to the computer waiting for this verdict, we just wanted to like talk a little bit about our channel and what it's going to be about, and our own experience with internal justice.
Because it is very different than the outside world.
Very
different.
And it's okay to report things, and it's okay to if you were a victim of anything. I mean, there's a lot of emotional abuse that happened that was not even physical, like inappropriate conversations and stuff.
Totally, which we've talked about, because that happens in so many areas in the Scientology world.
Yeah.
So many. We all have, like, I feel like everybody that I've talked to has a few stories at least. And I feel like I wasn't even in the world as much as most people were. And the
Yeah.
short time that I was, it was like, what? Like, what is
Yeah.
this? Is this really happening?
Well,
This
and the
is
fact
totally
that
inappropriate.
victim shaming is just built into everything, because like it's come out in the trial. You say like, I'm upset because this
Mhm.
person raped me, and they're like, okay, cool, I got that. So tell us about a time when you did something similar to someone.
Right.
And it's
It's always your fault.
gaslighting in
It's
the
always,
worst.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really upsetting. And a lot of our friends who we grew up with have a hard time even saying, this person's actions made me feel this way, because
Mhm.
made me feel is not Scientology.
No,
It's I did this, and so I pulled
I
it
pulled this
in.
in. Yeah.
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 Um,
Everything is, yeah. You somehow did something to deserve it to pull it in, which is
mhm.
very, very unhealthy. And I think probably a big reason why mental health in so many kids that are raised in Scientology can be so horrible. We're not taught about feelings. We're not taught that we can have anything bad happen to us with it not being connected to us directly doing something to
Yeah.
deserve it, pull it in, have had some reason to have it happen. And that's a
Yes.
tremendous thing to hold.
So
And you
much
don't have to hold
shame.
it. You don't have to
Yeah.
hold it.
It's sometimes it's cause and effect. And someone, if you do everything you can and you have a security system in your home, and you have a guard dog, and someone still breaks into your house and traumatizes you, I don't think that that's okay to say
You
you
did
pulled it
something.
in, your
Right.
PTS. Sometimes it's okay to say I was victimized.
Yeah.
um I don't like, the toxic positivity and I'm not a victim. I like when people take a proactive approach, but it's also okay to say, like, I was victimized. Like, I'm mad. Church of Scientology victimized us as children. It sucks. But
Yeah.
by admitting it, then we can like take our power back.
We can always just
And
say we can put the shame where it belongs, and it's not on
yeah,
us. It's not on
yeah,
us because we didn't pick this. We didn't pull this in. And if
yeah.
anybody says that, you can give them a nice finger from me. I'm okay with it. I
And
won't do it.
if we could never say that somebody's a victim, then there's no true victims out there. Like,
No,
sometimes crime happens and sometimes things are sad, and like,
totally.
it's okay to be a part of something bad that happens, and typically you end up so much more resilient afterwards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, we're here with you guys. We just wanted to share a couple of thoughts.
Quick check-in after Mother's
check-in.
Day and during the very end of this trial that we're probably all watching so closely. And we're
Yeah.
so waiting to hear a verdict. And we're hoping that whatever the verdict is, we're hoping that this is still a huge step forward for so many of us. Just to have these words, these phrases and definitions for them so that people understand why people don't come forward, why people don't report. There's so many layers to this.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that it's such a secretive thing to begin with. But I'm so proud of everybody that's speaking up, that's speaking out, and sharing their stories and sharing their knowledge, because nothing's ever going to change if people don't know that it's going on in the real world. And it's a healing journey for us.
Yeah. They're being exposed, and it's coming out. And there's even the whole attorney thing, having the link to they just do what they want to do.
Yeah, there's no rules. There's no
Yes,
rules.
the fact that a court of law is examining that just feels good.
Yeah. Can't get out of this one. You're not getting out of this one.
Hopefully not, they're
I mean, the trial's already is going on. So even that much is a huge step and a huge win.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So thanks you guys for watching. We'll be back soon.
Bye guys.
Bye.